Hi everybody, how you doing? This, I'm not sure, is going to be one of the 3 podcasts that come out at the end of July. I'm just looking. So I'm not sure the order they're going to come into because I just want to get through as many of the listener questions as I can before I break for a month in August, and then I hope you will all join me back for season 4. So make sure you start sending in your questions and the topics you want covered on season 4, because I'm excited to see where it takes us. So we will be back in September and recharged and ready to go, because I am aware at the moment I'm not forcing the podcast because I love doing it, but there's an unnaturalness happening within me. Like, I think it's my imposter syndrome just getting a hold here and telling me I'm going to run out of things to say. Oh God, it never ends, does it? So because of that, I think that is a big sign that it's time to down tools, take a break. I think I had last August off, if I remember correctly. Be with my family, be with my life, sort out the chaos that is my home, and come back swinging. So that is the idea, and I hope that you will all get on board with that and be excited to see what season 4, can you bloody believe it, will bring. So a few things that I wanted to talk about that I've been pondering, and one of the first things that I wanted to talk to you all about was demonstrating. So I'm recording this after demonstrating a few weeks ago, actually, from now, in Surbiton, and it was a really good night for spirits and evidence. There was one that wasn't taken, but that's always the way it goes. But energetically, for me, it was a massive cost. And I know we had that podcast, Mindset of Mediumship, where I was talking about the cost of evidential mediumship. Well, Surbiton, I'm surprised I didn't need some form of CPR afterwards, because it absolutely killed me energetically. And that's the interesting thing, I think, about being a platform medium, because it wasn't bad. Yeah, there was one spirit that wasn't taken. That's always a shame, but I know that they were there for somebody. So I feel very comfortable now. That's not on me. I tried my very best to get them taken, and they were there for someone. So that's all I can do in that situation. And they were very emotional. People in the audience that got messages at Surbiton were very, very emotional, not able to respond because they were crying so much. And that's to be expected in mediumship, isn't it? You know, you can't force somebody to answer you when they're sobbing, because, yeah, that's the way it goes. So in a way, it was good evidence. When I used to work with my friend and I demonstrating, we used to talk, who's made the most people cry, not because we want people to be upset, but because then you know you've done a really good job, don't you? If somebody's weeping. And, I had a lot of people crying. Within all of that, just found it really, really tough. And I think I found it really tough because of the slightly bumpy journey on which I have been on emotionally recently, which I know I've mentioned to you, and I may well share with you the story of what has happened. I don't know. I will see how I feel and how this podcast unfolds. But there was definitely energy for me was different, which got me pondering, as it always does. And poor Amanda, trapped in the car with me, driving down the M25, as I start yet another ponderance about how much is the energy that the audience bring and how much is my energetic state. Now, I've already sort of realised that it used to really matter to me how people received my mediumship. And then as I've gone on this journey and I've offered my little soft and squishy marshmallow heart to more and more people, it has got harder. Now, not harder in an uncaring way, but it has built a callus, shall we say, where I used to really want validation from other people. And I still, of course, if you come to see me live, I want you to have a good night. Really do. I want to be able to bring through the evidence that you want me to be able to bring in to prove that it's your loved ones. But you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? But I'm less affected by it than I used to be, because in all of this time doing all of this work, I have realised in the last year, where I've done so many demonstrations in so many different places with so many different audiences, I have realised that number one, you can't make everybody happy. And number two, you can't fulfil everybody's expectations of how mediumship should work. So the only person that I really need to fulfil the expectation of is myself. So how much of the feeling of whether it's a good demonstration or not actually comes from me and how I felt it was as the medium. And if I'm not feeling like it's a good flow, and I'm feeling like it's sticky, and I'm feeling it like it's difficult, and I'm trying to hemorrhage energy to get to where I want it to be, that's all on me, isn't it? It's not on the audience, that's on me. And am I in that space trying to control something that is uncontrollable? Because I had this, as you know, amazing night in Glastonbury, and it was so uplifting and so funny, and I could have kept going if the venue didn't need to shut. I could have just, it was so good, and I was so happy with it because everybody was laughing along with me and it felt really uplifting. But of course, every mediumship night can't be like that and shouldn't be like that. But, you know, I'm in service to the spirit world and the sitters here. And so it's not really supposed to be about me. And yet equally, it kind of feels like it is about me. And it's about me in the sense that if it doesn't feel good, then I'm expending energy trying to get it into that energetic space to make it feel good. And actually, maybe I should be just accepting that it is what it is, and that it can't be made good or can't be changed, or you can lift it to a certain point, but you can't. Let's say, for example, Glastonbury energy was a 25. If you're then working in a 12 and still doing a good job with your evidence, I'm just talking about the energy of the space and the energy of the situation and the audience and the venue and all of that, you might be able to raise it 8 points and make it a 20 if you try really, really hard. But you're not going to be able to make something that is completely out of the league of a 25 into a 25, are you? And maybe in trying to do that and trying to control that, I hemorrhage too much energy. I don't know. I'm really hoping this mic isn't picking up my tummy rumbling, but I have a feeling it probably is. So you're welcome for the extra noises in the background. Thank you, body. Thank you. So it's a fascinating thing. I mean, you'd think, wouldn't you, that having done so many demonstrations, that we'd be like, right, that is the formula, that's what we need to make it right. But actually, it's unquantifiable. It follows no rhyme nor reason. Sometimes audiences come in and me and Kim or me and Amanda, whoever's helping me, we look at each other and go, oh no, this is going to be a tough one. And then when I start working, they come to life and it's amazing. And sometimes they come in and it's really loud and really chatty and we're like, oh, this is going to be cracking. And then it is like working in a funeral home. And there is no rhyme or reason for that. And I wonder how much of that is actually controllable and how much isn't, how much we can make happen and how much we can't. And how much we're able to actually change. And I don't have an answer for you because this is a new ponderance and I'm still working through all of this stuff, but it's interesting to think about, isn't it? Or maybe not. Maybe it's only interesting to me and then you're trapped as a listener and Amanda was trapped in the car and you're all like, not really, Hannah, actually, crack on. But to me, it's fascinating. Maybe there isn't that golden goose that's going to permanently lay golden eggs that I can create. Maybe. I have to surrender. No. So that's been sort of ricocheting around in my mind, which is quite interesting, and I shall continue to ponder it for the summer. And when I start demonstrating again in September, we shall see, we shall think about it and see what happens. But I've also had an interesting time with expectations and sitters and what they're wanting and what they're hoping for and things like that. And it is vastly improved from where it first was, because I think I don't give away so much of myself to the point of trying to make it perfect for somebody else anymore. It is what it is. As long as I'm happy with it, then I know that I've done well, because I am, no doubt, my biggest critic. But I've been having an interesting time. So in the UK, we have like two forms of elite mediums, is what I would say. We have the sort of celebrity mediums who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but that you don't see demonstrate very often. And they do lives, but their lives are very much pulling cards, which is nothing wrong with. I love a card, you know I do. And sort of like and share, but not really giving a lot of value. And yet they have a massive following. And they all have call centres. And if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you will know I personally do not like call centre mediumship. Now, I know that since I said that on the podcast, I've had a couple of people on the podcast who started, earned their stripes doing call centre mediumship. So maybe it does have more of a place in the universe than I first realised. That is the closest you're ever going to get to me admitting I'm wrong. But you know what I mean? Maybe it does. Maybe I have no doubt that spirit will utilise whatever they need to utilise. Equally, I think that a lot of these call centres are run by people that aren't mediums. And so they haven't got the same ethical integrity that a medium's got. Because as soon as you start working with spirit, if you are truly working with spirit, not if you're working psychically, if you're working with spirit, you cannot help but be changed by that. You cannot help but be changed by the presence of the spirit world. Undoubtedly. And therefore, you are not going to be comfortable with, for example, as I've mentioned before, sending text messages to people saying, I've got a loved one in spirit here for you. If you want to know who it is, call my team of trusted psychics. Now, all of the big, well-known, massive following mediums in the UK have that kind of thing going on. They have call centres. And this is my problem with call centres, because number one, if I, for example, signed up with one of these call centre companies, and they have asked me to, and I will not do it, then I'm not checking who the mediums are that they're using. I'm not checking that they actually do work with spirit, that they work with integrity, that they are good people. I am signing up for another source of income. It's not the same thing. It's why I will not have anyone on this podcast that works with a call centre. And there's some brilliant mediums I want on here, but just because of that, I won't have them on. And I wish they would think about it a bit and decide if it's really in alignment. And yeah, and do that. But anyway, so I was noticing, so one of the ones that it's a bit like a car crash, isn't it? Or I don't know. It's surprising to me how much of my spirit work, in inverted commas, is actually me stalking other mediums to see what they're up to. How much of running a spiritual business should be dedicated to looking at what other people are doing? I don't know, but I spend a lot of time doing it. And I've had some amazing learnings from that and inspirations from that. And then there's also the bits that make me a bit sad. And one of the things that makes me a bit sad is as I've mentioned before, one of the ones that does a lot of TikTok videos and things like that, if you're seeing this is a message for you, and then proceeds to give quite a negative commentary. You were right, that person wasn't doing it for right, and that the truth will come into the light, and it's just triggering negative emotions. There's no spirit in that. Well, I had a little stalk on their reviews, because why wouldn't you? And this was really interesting to me. So they offer, under their name, a card reading with them, and it's like 20 quid, right? Now, I can understand if you are a bit naive, and there's no judgment in the word naive, because I am the most naive person I know. You would think, okay, 20 quid with a reading with that person, that is amazing. You might look at my website and go, bloody hell, she charges £137 for a reading. What a rip-off. I'm going to go back to this guy and he only charges me £20. But you're not actually getting a reading with him that's honed to you for £20. You're not actually getting a personalised private message from him for £20. You are getting access to a series of video recordings that he has done, where somebody who is in his admin team randomly picks you a video reply where he is pulling cards, and those cards have a message for you, but it's not a recording that has been done for you using your energy. It's a bit like when you open the horoscope in the newspaper or the magazine, and there's one message for all. It's like my week ahead readings, where some parts of it will resonate with you and some parts don't. The problem that we've got here is, because £20 isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's a price for a reading. People think they're getting an individual reading, and they're not. But there is no body in the UK that is monitoring this kind of thing. So people are getting them and then realising. So there's somebody that's left a 1-star Trustpilot review, and they've left a 1-star review because 3 of their friends all signed up for a reading, and they all got the same video. And it sounds specific because it says, I've got connections here with an L and an R. There's something going on with an L and an R. So if you've got someone in your life with an L or an R in their name, you need to be careful of them. But of course, that could apply to anybody. If I stood up at a demonstration and said, I've got a man here with a connection with a name with the letter D in it, that would be everybody in the audience would be able to take a connection with a name with the letter D in it. So it's not that I'm saying these things have no value, but what I'm saying is it is stealing, in my opinion. It's taking money from people who don't know better and don't understand how it's working, and are like me and are naive and hopeful, and have got that thing where you think that because everybody's a light worker, they're going to be behaving like a light worker. The number of times that has bitten me on the ass. And I probably told the story in season 1 of the podcast, but it always reminds me when I was first sort of taking my tentative steps out into the big bad world as a spiritual business, still fighting the same imposter syndrome that I fight now, just so you know, but hey ho, we try and move forward. And somebody messaged me and said, I'm doing a mind body spirit fair and I am desperate for someone to be a card reader. Will you come and be a card reader? And I felt like it was divinely orchestrated by the spirit world. And I was like, oh my God. And actually, oh my God, this story's coming back to me now. I can remember because I saw it advertised on Facebook and I thought, oh, I could do that. And then I thought, no, if spirit want me there, they'll get that person to message me. And they did. And I was like, oh my God, this is me being predestined to do something fabulous. So I went to this village hall. And I mean, I have no doubt the spirit were teaching me lessons, but this is when I didn't understand that some of the lessons are slaps. So I was ripe for a beating. And I went to this fair and about 5 people turned up and it was utterly miserable. But there was another lady there doing cards. And I was like a puppy. And I went over to her and I was like, oh my God, hi, what cards do you use? I'm setting up as a card reader. It's so exciting. And I just didn't expect her to hate me and feel like I was on her patch and basically to tell me to go away. And it was such a shock to me that they were so like, I thought I was going to be the only card reader. And I was like, oh, well, she invited me. Well, you shouldn't have booked. It was supposed to be my space and there's hardly anyone here, is there? And I'd done free readings for all the stallholders because I was bored and I just wanted the practice. And so I'd taken away her only clientele because apparently she would normally have sold to the stallholders if it was quiet, but I'd done free readings for them all. Which I didn't do on purpose. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to piss off the tarot reader and I'm going to do oracle cards for everybody. It was just, I was bored. They were bored. Let's fill some time. I'll buy some Body Shop. You have a reading. Let's play around. And I just, yeah, I'm so naive. I mean, still a little naive if I'm honest, but that was particularly bad. I don't even know what the point of that was. You're welcome. Enjoy the stories and the musings of my mind as always. It's a bumpy ride, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't know. I am naive and I just hope for better. And I really feel like us mediums, again, just need to be doing better. But if you're seeing a deal that looks too good to be true, it is too good to be true. I cannot remember anymore what I've told you guys and what I haven't, but I have a set of oracle cards, well, 3 actually, by the same person that I absolutely adore. And they were doing special card readings. And I went on thinking it was going to be, £150, £200 for a card reading with them. And it was really cheap and I still didn't twig. And then when I got my card reading, it was sent by post and it was just done on a computer and it was 2 cards out of a card set that I'd already got in a little folder with the meanings of the cards as they are written in the book that comes with the cards, just typed onto a piece of paper, like copy and paste. And that was a big lesson for me too. I don't know what's going on out there, but it is just interesting to think about and to be aware of. If you really want a really good reading, you need to be investing in it. And I have no doubt if you're getting something from a 20 quid card reading that goes out to 30 people, 40 people, 100 people, 300 people, I mean, I'm all for that. I am all for that. But I do think there should be a managing of expectations rather than a sign up for a card reading with me where the expectation is, 6 card love spread, that you're actually going to get something personalised when you're not. It's just 6 cards that they have pulled whilst recording a video that they are going to send out en masse to hundreds of people. I wonder what's going to happen to mediumship and spirituality and teachers, because there's more and more people getting involved in it and more people opening up to it and being awake for it. And I just wonder what impact that's going to have as people educate themselves and learn how it works and understand and realise and unfold and become more discerning. And then, of course, on the flip side, you can be too discerning. So somebody I know went for a reading, somebody passed in very tragic circumstances, and they went for a reading with a medium. I don't even know the medium's name. They're supposed to be finding it out for me because I would like to have them on the podcast, because I was then contacted with, is this good enough? Is this good evidence? And I have to be honest, guys, and say it was freaking mind-blowingly good evidence. And yet, this is the irony, isn't it? To me, I was like, holy shit, that is fantastic evidence. That is so good. That is so specific. That is so amazing. But to them, they were like, is that actually good? And this is the thing about mediumship, isn't it? And so often I think as readers, we are No, as clients, sorry, we are looking for something, but we're not really sure what that is. We're looking maybe for healing, for resolution, for feeling like our loved ones are with us still, so a feeling of being reunited. But I don't think that happens in the moment of a reading, because having a reading is stressful. It's nerve-wracking. It's worrying. You don't know, you don't remember, was my nan a woman? I think so. Did she marry my grandfather? I think so. Did they meet when they were young? God, I can't remember. I think so. And so you're constantly trying to field all of these different aspects of somebody in a slightly panicky, emotional state. So I don't think you get that resolution and that healing and that thing you're looking for until you sit with it afterwards. Unless you're in a particularly ready space. Not all the time. Like I was saying the other day in the truth episode, that will be true for some people and not true for others. So some people will instantly get the resolution that they seek, and some people will need to sit with it and think about it. And as we know, the people you see in the public eye doing readings don't often use people or use the readings where someone's had to sit with it, because it doesn't have the same dramatic effect. The other thing I wish that we were talking about more is that not all mediums do all aspects of mediumship. And I think that needs to be discussed. There's kind of this idea, isn't there, that we are all seeing, all knowing. And actually, we need to start discussing how we don't do everything. Keeps coming up in demonstrations for me, people putting their hands up and saying, you didn't get through any animals tonight. And I say, well, no, I'm not an animal communicator. And they go, We need to be getting that message out there too, that there are animal communicators and there are people communicators. And sometimes the animal communicators might work with the person, and sometimes the person communicator might work with an animal, but it's not guaranteed. And you need to be choosing what you need and what you want. And that's something I really think that I'm going to start talking about on social media to try and get it out there to people, is we don't do everything. You can't ask somebody that's a past life reader to make an evidential connection with your grandfather. You can't ask an evidential medium to offer you healing if they don't do healing. That there are too many different areas. And I was talking to one of my really amazing, you know who you are, mentorship students about this the other day, because they're just starting and they were like, and I've got to learn this and I want to learn this and I want to learn that. And I said to them, it's great to do it when you want to do it, but don't prescribe to yourself what you have to learn for your idea of mediumship, because we don't know it all. And I don't, at the moment, want to specialise in anything else other than the stuff that I'm doing, because I still don't feel like I've reached where I want to reach with evidential mediumship. So why would I be diffusing that by now becoming a specialist animal communicator or a past life regressionist or all these crazy different things? I don't know why I'm stuck on those few. There's so many different, sacred geometry. I work with angels, but I don't have a deep channel ability with angels. One of my students, Catherine, who used to sit in one of my circles, she's got the most incredible channeling abilities with angels. That's her specialty. It's brilliant. And as you develop and you go on your journey, don't feel like you need to be all things to all people. Now, if there is a excitement within you and you want to, that's different. The number of times people told me I should only focus on one area and I ended up focusing on lots. I've done trance, I've done spirit guides, I've done evidential, I've done healing, I've done working with colour and and everything in between, psychic work. So I'm not saying I'm a specialist in only one area, but evidential mediumship is undoubtedly my favourite. But I know that from doing all of the others and working on the others and working well in the others. And I wouldn't change my communication abilities with spirit guides for anything, because they have changed my life. So when you're going on your journey and you're working it out, Don't feel like you have to be all things to all people. Don't feel like you have to be all things to yourself. Because going back to what I was talking about before, about the feeling of a demonstration, how much of this stuff are we forcing on ourselves? How much of this stuff are we saying, well, I need to be able to do this because a medium can do all of these things? What if we started saying, no, they can't? When I had a car that had I don't even remember what was wrong with it. My garage had no problem in saying to me, we can do this, but this bit we cannot fix, so this person is going to do it for you. We've got a connection with this garage where they specialise in this particular part, this particular problem. Why is that acceptable from a garage and not acceptable in mediumship? Why are we pushing ourselves in so many different directions, trying to bridge all the gaps? It's a bit like jack of all trades, master of none. I knew it was in there somewhere. It is kind of that thing. And sometimes people will tell you to do less because they want to keep you small. And they want to keep you contained, and they don't want you to get too big for your boots. That is very different to you telling you that you need to do all of these different aspects to be able to be a medium, because you don't. You just need to find the area that you want to work in right now. And you might need to do, I always say it's like the sweetie counter. You need to go and have your pick and mix, and you try one of everything, and then you go back in and you buy 20 of the one you like. The one that flavour is really talking to you, or maybe 10 on 2 flavours. And you specialise in those areas. And then after a while, you might find that you get a craving for a different one, and you try that for a bit, which will enhance the areas you've already been working on. But it's not about being able to do all things and being able to fulfill that need in everybody. And when I first started saying to people, well, no, I'm not an animal communicator, I could see that they were disappointed in me. But I don't advertise as an animal communicator. There's no mention of animals in any of my write-ups. So find an animal communicator if that's what you want. Work with an animal communicator. If you want to hear from Tootles the dog, then Tootles the dog has got a much greater chance of coming through an animal communicator than they have with me, and so on and so forth. And there is space for everybody in that. So don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overload yourself. Find the areas that are exciting to you. Don't prescribe to yourself. It's not medicine that you have to take. It's about having fun and following the joy and the interest in the things that light you up. And it all serves a purpose. It's all important light work. My light work is no more important than anybody else's. And I want to make that super clear. Super clear. It's not that I am a better medium because I talk to people, and other people that I know that talk to pets are not as important. Jesus, I've got 2 dogs. Like, when they move into spirit, I will want to hear from them. God, absolutely. And like I said to you guys, spirit guides changed my life. They changed my life. Without that ability to communicate with them, I wouldn't be who I am now. And so obviously, sometimes I get in my own way, quite often, and I want to hear from somebody that communicates with spirit guides and becomes a channel for spirit guides. I don't think that my way is better. I do think that in some respects, being evidential with any form of mediumship is harder. So there's a difference between sort of channeled generalized messages, and even if you're working with spirit guides, I feel like your problem is work, or I feel like your problem is, love, or when you're saying to somebody, I've got a dog here, is it a dog you want to hear from? That's evidential. I'm not just saying evidential as a human communicator, but I am an evidential with spirits that once existed in human form communicator. Which isn't a very catchy title, is it? Again, we're back to the restrictions of language and working through language and how language helps, but it also hinders. Oh, I love it. Well, there we go. So I think this is going to be the last one with me for season 3. There will be the week ahead reading on Monday. What day of the week is it? But this is going to be it now. And I will see you the other side, season 4, after the summer. And I cannot wait to see where we all go. I'm so grateful for all your support, your inspiration, your messages and your questions. And I will see you all anon.